Okay, check test 1 2. Hello, 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 hello. Audio check. Okay, check test 1 2. All right, that's pretty good. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Hopefully, I have tweaked and twiddled with the settings on cameras and my streaming software and the stream setup on YouTube. Hopefully we have a little better experience tonight. Last week was miserable for everybody. Hi Judy Kimbrough, so glad to see you're here. Vincent RV Life's in, as well as George. And Tim Myers and Gary D is in. If you're out there lurking, that's great. If not, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from tonight. Hopefully everything holds together tonight. Sounds good, excellent. I think the sound is more important than the video, but I couldn't even see the comments last week, which is what kept locking me up. But yeah, I've tweaked everything down, so hopefully that'll work. Eric Meyer says, hello from the bourbon capital of the world. Would that be Lynchburg, Tennessee? Question mark. Old Number 7 is a friend of mine. Well, it used to be. I don't drink much anymore, but I used to drink a lot of Old Number 7. So yeah, I had a couple good questions come in. We've got a question in from Michael Zent. I think that's it. Zent is E-N-T. Let me double check here. Yeah, Michael Zent has a solar question. We'll get to that here in a little bit. He submitted that via email, which you can do too at trbowlin, B-O-W-L-I-N, at gmail.com. Or you can just jump in the chat window there and drop a comment there. And I'm going to start with Vincent RV Life, Bruce. Was asking about towing, flat towing. And Michael's in. Excellent, Michael. Good. We'll get to your question in just a minute. So, Bruce, Vincent RV Life equals to Bruce, is getting his new to them 2018 Ford Edge set up to flat tow. And the owner's manual tells him that he has to disconnect the negative ground before towing. Is that necessary? If so, how would my brake lights on the edge work? Okay, so the way that works is that you're actually going to power your brake lights, turn signals, and everything off of the RV. So what you end up doing is you install a wiring kit that's like a trailer wiring kit, and you pull, eventually you'll end up pulling wires back to the tail lights where you will splice them in. If you get a good kit, it's plug and play. You might go out and check the video I did when I set up Rick's Jeep Gladiator, his 22 Jeep Gladiator, for flat towing when we installed the base plate and all that. You might find some helpful information in that. But essentially what you're doing is you're actually powering the lights on your tow vehicle from your RV. And so yeah, you'll run a 4-wire light. You'll run 4 wires back to your tail lights, which will give you your parking lights, your turn signals, and your brake lights. And then those are all powered off the RV. So they're not using juice from the tow vehicle to run your trailer lights or your tow lights on the tow. As far as disconnecting the negative goes, I suspect, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect they're doing that to keep the battery from running down, because you're probably going to have to leave the ignition turned on while you're towing, so the steering wheel is unlocked. Otherwise, when you're turning and you're towing, you will scrub or scald the tires. So they'll be locked in and they won't turn with the vehicle when you're moving around a corner. And I suspect they're doing that just to stop the battery from discharging. What you can do there, and it's simple enough to do, is rather than doing a 4-wire setup, for your tow lights. You could do the 4-wire for your tow lights, and then you would add a 5th wire with a 12-volt positive that runs to your battery on the edge. And that will provide enough juice to keep that battery charged. That's what I did on that Gladiator that I did for Rick. That's the way I had it set up when I towed my Subaru. Because, again, you know, you got to leave the steering wheel unlocked. And my Subaru, I had drained the battery down a couple times, and then I changed up from the 4-wire setup. Actually, I went to 7. But yeah, you could do a 5-wire setup easy enough. You may have to buy an adapter to go from your RV, which may be a 7-wire. Yeah, so that's how that works, Bruce, is that they don't, the lights on the tow vehicle, the tail lights, turn signals, and parking lights, don't run off of the battery in the vehicle. They run from your RV. And so, and then I think the reason they're telling you to disconnect the negative is to prevent the battery from running down. That would be my guess. I'll take a note, and I'll just double check that on the Ford Edge. Okay, make myself a little note there so I don't forget to go and look that up. Just to make sure that I'm not leading you astray. Okay? All right. Back to the chat window for just a minute. Checking in. Let's see. Judy, I said hey to. Eric Myers. Oh, you're in Bardstown. Yeah, the Barton Distillery, I think, is there. And if you go tour that, they have charcoal from the insides of the barrels that they use to age the bourbon in. And that stuff, when you add it to your barbecue, like when you're doing like hot dogs or hamburgers or stuff, you put a little bit of that charcoal on top of your grill, and oh my gosh, it puts the best taste and flavor into your grilled meats like you can't imagine. And it was really inexpensive. It was a little bag. I remember buying, I think it was like a 1-pound bag of the charcoal from the insides of the barrels. You know, when they toast those barrels, they leave a little layer of charcoal inside the barrel. And it's delicious stuff, so you might want to check that out. Okay, so let me go back here. Campgrower 1, hey Linda, so good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hi Tom. Stall. What is an RV? Oh, you're European. Okay, well, an RV would be a caravan in Europe. Okay, I believe that's what they call them, are caravans in Europe. So it's just a self-contained home on 4 to 6, sometimes 8 wheels. But yeah, that's what an RV is. Yeah, Eric says he'll try that. Great. Yeah, that Barton's is pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to slip over here. Okay, Vincent says, I've seen a kit on eTrailer that uses solenoid to shut off positive side. It also has an on button that is installed in the driver's area. I was wondering if that's a better option. It might be, but you want to make sure that solenoid is a pretty good size solenoid because, when you're cranking that car to start it, you're going to be pulling, you could be pulling 150 to 200 amps, maybe even more. And so that's a lot of juice to run through a solenoid. Not to say it can't be done, but you're going to want to double check and make sure that you've got enough, that the solenoid's big enough. You would assume, but remember what assuming does, makes an ass out of you and me. I need to look at the camera. I'm used to having the camera here, and this setup I'm down here. Yeah, you just want to double check that. Donald Hall has a question. What do I know about FRP roofs? FRP? I'm not familiar with that reference. FRP. I know there's TPO, EDPM, roof construction. FRP, maybe fiberglass. Fiberglass roofs are common in some coaches. So what specifically do you want to know about your roof, an FRP roof? Stall says, we have a lot of big RV buses here in Europe, especially here in Holland. Yeah, that is essentially what they are. An RV is a recreation vehicle. I think Tim might have mentioned that. He did. Yeah, cool. And here in the States, it could be everything from a Sprinter van, think of a Mercedes van, to what we call a Class C, which is, a smaller rig, usually up to about 32 feet. And then a Class A, which is, 32 to 40 feet, 42, 43 feet in some cases. And so, yeah, they run all different sizes. But, yeah, that's basically what they are. Hope that helped. Oh, the Sandvan's here. Awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight from all the way from down under. And we have somebody from Holland in here. So that's sweet. Yeah, I'm always excited to have folks from all over the world joining the stream. So how the quality been tonight? We had such a crappy day last week. It seems like it's been a lot more stable. Everything seems to be working. So hopefully I found the magic settings to make this work from down here in Arkansas, where I am temporarily. Fiberglass reinforced plastic. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of what I thought it was. Well, fiberglass reinforced plastic they're very durable roofs. I will say that. They're not completely immune from leaking around the perimeter, around the edges. No RV roof is. Okay. So, anyway, yeah, what specifically would you like to know? Tom Downey asks, how's my dad? Really no change. Really confused. Maximum assist. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. The prognosis isn't good. That's all I can say, Tom. So thanks for asking, though. Hi, EJ Weiss. So nice to see you here. And Tim, yeah, international. Okay, so Michael Zent, who is on the stream, asked a question, and he said, what's the best solar charger and size of panels for us for a 2022 Redwood fifth reel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all the specs and stuff like that. He doesn't want to have to worry about blown fuses and have full power to the coach. What size would I say you should get? Okay, that is a really excellent question, and it has a lot of different factors that go into that. The first thing is do you do a lot of boondocking, Michael? And what I mean by boondocking, that's dry camping. In other words, that's where you're camping. You're not hooked up on, in an RV park or in a campground or something like that to electricity. Do you do a lot of that, or do you do some of it, or are you just worried about having adequate power when you're moving from campground to campground? If you'll answer that, then that'll get us the first leg on giving you some ideas. While you're doing that, as a rule of thumb, I would recommend that you get as much battery capacity and as much solar as you can afford. Okay? So, with that being said, not in the coach yet. Okay. Do you plan on doing any dry camping, boondocking, those sorts of things? I'm trying to get some sense for how you're going to use the rig. Got the coach yet? I got you, Michael. But in general, I would say get as much solar as you can. As far as the batteries go, it's going to come with batteries. Excuse me for just 1 second here. It's going to come with It's going to come with batteries. And so my recommendation is just run with those batteries as long as you possibly can. As far as the solar goes, the amount of solar you're going to be able to get is going to be dependent upon how much space there is on the roof of the RV. Okay, I had 1,860 watts of solar on my Class A, my Newmar Dutch Star. There is a good video on my channel if you'd like to go watch that on doing the solar. My install, all of the characteristics, the sizes, everything that I had. I'll answer your question in a minute, Donald. So that would be my first recommendation. At a minimum, I would say on a bigger fifth wheel, presumably I was trying to I got distracted here, sorry. Something shiny went by. It's like I'm like a squirrel. It's not so much the requirements, guys, and I do appreciate your help. And Tim, send that to me because I might be able to share that with Mike or Michael. That would give him some idea. I would go with 1,000 watts. Would be a good place to start if you plan on doing any boondocking, dry camping. A lot of these newer coaches have a lot of electrical goobies in them, right? A lot of electrical stuff. So you're basically going to want to be able to run probably the TVs, your microwave. You may have a residential fridge in that. I don't know. Those sorts of things. So I think those are all questions that you need to ask yourself as to what you would like to have when you're living off the grid, when you're not plugged in, okay? So the design process goes something like this, and always has in solar, and that's where to start. You start with kind of trying to get a sense for what kind of stuff you're going to want to be able to use while you're out, how long you're planning on being out off grid, and it goes into how long the days are, how long your day length is, those sorts of things. Keep in mind that in the winter, you're going to get a lot less solar power than you will in the summer because the sun's not up as long. Shading has an impact on it, all of these sorts of things that go into that. But as a rule of thumb, I would just say I would go to a good start would be 1,000 watts, 800 to 1,000 watts. And then with that said, then your solar charge controller, which is probably, sounds like you're buying a new RV. So it's going to have an inverter and all that sort of stuff. Then the solar charge controller is the next piece of the puzzle, and it should be sized appropriate to the size of your solar panels. So let's say that you're going to have 1,000 watts. And 1,000 watts at 12 volts is going to be about probably 40 amps, give or take. I'd have to sit down and do the actual math on this, which I'm happy to do, Michael. And we can probably do some of this offline. I just wanted to kind of talk through it and give you some idea about some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. I see he says, what about being able to use everything in the coach? Okay, you can do that. Excuse me for a second here. You can do that, but it comes down to battery capacity. I personally don't think it's practical to be able to run your air conditioning off of solar. Yes, it can be done. There is no question about it. It can be done. People are doing it all the time. But they have hella big battery banks, and they have a whole lot of solar panels. Okay, they have a whole lot of solar capacity. The problem is that your average 110 air conditioner on an RV pulls roughly somewhere between 12 and 18 amps of 110 power. That equates to roughly 140 to 190 12 volt amps. That's a lot of power. Then you figure that out over the time you're going to run that unit. Okay, so if you're going to run the unit, okay, let's say you're going to run that air conditioner 2 hours a day. Okay, now that's not 2 hours continuous. You know, they turn on and off and turn on and off. But let's just say you're going to run that air conditioner for 2 hours a day. You do the quick math on that, and it's really simple math. If you're pulling, let's just make the math easy, 150 amps of 12 volt power that you have to convert to 110, okay? There's some conversion loss in there. In other words, you don't get, you know, there's differences in DC and AC power. You lose a little bit of conversion. It's called conversion efficiency. But that equates to 300 amp hours of electricity, of juice. 300 amp hours is about the size of your average battery bank in a current modern RV that is not lithium. Okay? So when we do the math on all of that, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to try to go and run your AC off of solar. Now, yes, like I said, I watch a couple of channels I used to. They don't broadcast, or they're not online anymore. But I know there was a guy that had a bus conversion. He had 800 amp hours of battery. Okay, that's 800 amp hour batteries. That's the equivalent of about, well, roughly $7,000 worth of batteries. He had something close to 2,000 watts of solar, and for your solar, you can figure about $1 a watt, about $1 a watt. That's for your solar panels and your solar charge controller. Okay, so there's another 2,000. So a system like that, $9,000 to be able to set up to run your ACs. Okay, to me that seems a little impractical. Now, Mike, if you're, are you ordering this coach? Or are you trying to buy one off the lot? Because a lot of times, and especially now, your dealer may be able to help you get set up with solar on the coach. And frankly, a lot of coaches are coming with solar, but a fairly minimal amount of it, 2 to 3, 400 watts, something like that. Sorry, I've been painting and cleaning all day, and I got roof texture down my back, and I didn't have time to shower tonight, and so I'm really itchy. Okay, you're ordering. All right, Michael, I'll come back and we'll talk about the other comments that have rolled in here, because I've seen a few roll up. You might talk to your dealer about what kind of options they have for solar. Again, I don't think, this is my opinion, I may be wrong, but I don't think it's really practical to run the AC. Okay, run your air conditioners off of solar. Everything else, no problem. I was, for all intents and purposes, in my Class A, I had it was an all-electric coach. Well, not really, because I had gas cooking and gas water heating. But I had a residential fridge, so I had a residential fridge that I installed. I had TVs. I have a workstation and a computer workstation, which are power hogs, and I ran that off my solar the whole time I full-timed in my coach. And with my 1,800 watts, and I had 400 amp hours of battery. I had 4 Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries. I never wanted for power except on really rainy days when I didn't get a lot of sun. So I hope that helps. Okay, so let me run back here. Let's see. Thanks, EJ. Yeah, that's yeah. Donald Hall. Okay, Donald and Tim are having sort of a side discussion, which is handy because I believe Tim has the Phylon roof on his rig. Okay, Winnebago, Itasca, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll leave that go. That sounds like they're getting it worked out. Yeah, you can email me, Donald, and I'll put you in touch with Tim. He's going to probably be your best bet. But yeah, you need to reseal the edges. And there's a number of products that you could use. A Turnabond tape is a popular one. Lap sealant, self-leveling lap sealant is another. But yeah, Tim, if you email me, I will connect you and Tim. And yeah, Tom, I would really prefer that you not promote other channels on my channel. Okay? Thank you. Let's see. I will promote channels that I like, but I would prefer that you do not promote other channels. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Tom says new coaches have huge voltage capacity. Yeah, a lot of the all-electric, especially like the big high-end ones, Newmar, Newell, Winnebago, they're going with 48-volt systems. You gain a little efficiency by going up to the 48-volt systems. The average run-of-the-mill fifth wheels, travel trailers, your kind of middle of the road kind of RVs typically don't go to 48 volts or 24. They usually just stick with 12 volt systems because the cost is pretty high. When you start to get up into the 48 volt systems, the equipment gets more expensive and that kind of stuff. Well, the stream is holding pretty solid tonight, so we're going to take a quick break for the commercial and remind folks to give me that thumbs up if you like the content. I always appreciate that. It helps get the video ranked up a little better. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell. Lots of great content to come from this. Still got plenty to do on my truck camper that I've been working on. I've been working on trying to get this week's video out. I have to do it at least a day and a half in advance because it takes like 12 hours to upload a video on these slow links that I'm on out here in Middle America. And if you'd like to visit my website, I would appreciate that at trbullen.com. I think there's tons of great information over there. The folks that have been supporting me through my Amazon links, I just can't say thanks enough. There is a link in the description of this video that you can click on, which will take you to Amazon. It takes you to my Amazon store. You can depart from there, go get anything you want on Amazon. I'll get a small commission and you'll pay the same price. As well as there's a link there for Renogy for all their solar gear, and then also RecPro. RecPro, I've just bought a ton of stuff from RecPro. They're a really solid company. They're down in Tennessee. They are Johnny on the spot. They get stuff shipped right out. There is a discount code listed in the video description that you can use, and you'll save some cash, and I'll get again a small commission. And so thanks in advance for your support of the channel. As long as I can, I think I finally, it looks like I got things settled out, so I'll keep doing the live streams. It's a nice break from, trying to get this house ready to sell and the cleaning and the, I don't know, I'm going to probably diverge here for just a minute. And I don't know how many of you have had to go in and start to clean out your parents' houses, moving furniture away from the walls and the stuff that's probably been sitting there for 27 years, which I think this is how long my folks have been in this house. They moved here in 96 from Omaha. My dad worked for Union Pacific Railroad for almost 50 years. But, the flotsam and the jetsam that I found, also the stuff that I've been finding as I've been going through some of my dad's stuff has been interesting. I found this. I remember playing with this as a child, like 5, 6, 7 years old. My dad was of course in the Army, as was I, but he had this pointer made out of a 50 caliber shell, a hand carved, would you call it, the handle, and then the 50 cal end was cut off, and the stick plugged into it. And that was fun. I found that day before yesterday when I was cleaning out the bottom of his drawer and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, it's been fun. I'll be honest with you. I am kind of getting it almost at my wit's end with the fact that people will not freaking call me back. All right, I'll catch you up in a minute, Linda. I have called 11 estate sales companies. 2 have called me back. 2. Both of them said, we don't come that far out. They're calling from Bentonville, Fayetteville, which is west of here 65 miles or so. Okay? And so I finally broke down. My folks live close to Branson, Missouri. Branson is north of here about 60 miles, give or take. About 60 minutes. And I finally got somebody up there that said, oh yeah, we'll take care of you. And they're coming down Thursday to look. So I think I might have finally found an estate company. Just quickly, Linda, my dad has had a real downturn in health. He can't stay in this house anymore. He can't be independent. So I am here cleaning, getting it ready to be sold, working on getting the furniture gone, like this stuff here and all these tables and everything. I just don't need it. And but yeah, I've been having a hell of a time just getting people to call me back. I need to get a little teeny concrete pad poured right behind me here. This is a sliding window here, obviously, right? I mean, and there's a wooden deck out there, and it's just a rotten mess. And I know that there's, if the house goes FHA or VA, it won't pass, right? They're going to make us replace that. And so I'm just kind of proactively trying to get that done. I can't get a concrete guy to call me back to save my life. I've called 11 or 12 of them too, with no calls back. All right, I'm going to quit whining and bitching here. But let's see. Tom Downey says it took him 2 months to vacate his grandma's house. Yeah, I got you. I expect it might take that long, and I might be here as long as the end of October. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. Eric Meyer says estate sales companies will make more than you will. Yeah, I posted on Facebook today that I've had so much smoke blown up my rear that my hat size has gone up, one full number by these companies. The 2 that called me back that wouldn't come over here and work. And then and I've talked to some other folks. I've had some friends that have gone through this, and they've said the same thing, that the estate sales companies are basically, they're kind of like, I hope we don't have any used car salespeople in there out here tonight. The old joke about used car salesmen. I'll get my tongue unwrapped from around my teeth so I can see what I'm saying. They say about good used car salesmen, you know how to know they're lying? Their lips are moving. But I think I finally got connected with a good company out of Branson. They were very responsive. They got me onto a guy that will come over and take care of the furniture. He'll buy it as a lot. Otherwise, I'm faced with having to try to sell this. And what doesn't sell, I will donate to some local charities. There's 2 or 3 around here that are really good. There's the Good Shepherd Animal Rescue. They're a no-kill shelter over in Eureka Springs, which isn't far from here. And I've contacted them. They'll send a truck and take anything that you want to give them. And so I think I'm finally getting a plan together. But here's what's making me so nervous or upset is that I was a project manager for many years, and I managed very high-dollar projects, okay? $1 million projects, $2 million, $5 million projects. And one of the successes that I always had was that once you kind of get everybody pulled together, you get their commitments that they're going to do this at this time frame and so on and so forth, then you can kind of relax, breathe a little easier. You're not so stressed. with trying to figure out what you're going to do. And so when you kind of get that all done, it just is like a relief, right? It's just like the weight will come off your shoulders. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that moment. But then the only other thing that I have is that it's just not practical for me to try to transport Dad. He's like full assist. There's no way I could get him into any of my vehicles. I've called and checked pricing on, non-emergency medical transport. The best I can find is $7 a mile, which adds up to about $10,000. Now, that sure sounds like a lot of money, but I just can't. I don't want to stay here. I've got a life in Idaho, and so I may have to buck it up and just pay to get him transported out there. I thought maybe I could fly him out, but there's just no way. He can't even transfer from his bed to a wheelchair at this point. So I'm hopeful. I've talked to the physical therapy people up at the care center he's at. I've said, if he can transfer from his bed to a wheelchair, from a wheelchair to a chair, and those sorts of things, then I will fly him back to Idaho. Tom says, rent an RV. I looked into that, Tom. There's not a company in this part of the state that rents RVs. I'd have to drive all the way to Memphis to get one. And you got to understand that, I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody because I know I have a few folks from Arkansas that watch the stream. And it's a beautiful state. I mean, there's not a damn straight road in this whole state. But this area where I'm at is really super challenging on trying to find people to help you get stuff done. I'll leave it at that, and I'm trying to be kind. All right, let me go back over to the comments and quit whining, okay? Tom Downey, after 2 months of dealing with Old House, I was ready to burn it and collect the check. Yeah. I'm not quite to that point yet. In fact, I'm 2/3 of the way done painting. So I feel like I'm there. Tim says he's been to Eureka Springs, rode the dinner train. I have too. And Eureka Springs is a cool little town. I really like Eureka Springs. It's built right into a mountain, though. I'll tell you what. The main street into Eureka Springs, it must be an 18% grade, and it winds down to get to downtown. It's pretty interesting. Eric Myers, I see a yard sale in my future. Yeah, talk to the neighbors, make a deal. What they sell, they get half or whatever. Yeah, I'm mulling all of those over, Eric, and that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about the neighbors. And I had neighbors that were spying on him. Well, I say spying, but they were they were friends with my mom and dad. And so they've been keeping an eye on him. And that's how I knew things had got as bad as they were, because my dad wasn't being forthright with me. I would talk to him every other day, and everything seemed fine until about, now, of course, because I've been here for 2 weeks. Everything changed overnight. And as far as I can tell, he had a stroke sometime between the 8th and the 9th of September. I got here on the 12th. Let's see. George A.K.A. Dad says, I've been through that process twice. Parents emptied out their house in 82 in preparation for selling it and going full-time into Pacero. Yeah, cool. Scotty, hey, it's good to see you. He's here for a shameful hit and run after being on the other side of the globe the last 3 weeks. Hope you get back next week. Hang in there. Thanks. Thanks, Scotty. I appreciate you, bud. Everybody's support, just having the opportunity to whine a little bit sometimes make you feel better. George A.K.A. Dad says, filled my spare bedroom and attic. Wife's parents' home after hoarder sister-in-law moved out. Yeah, we have a situation like that with my brother. I haven't even tackled that room yet. I'm not looking forward to it. Linda, that's so kind. Get in his Prius and come out, or in the truck. Yeah, I've got my pickup here. I'm limiting myself to 1 truckload. Okay? So, knickknacks, memorabilia, stuff that I want to keep. If I get 1 truckload, that's it. And then I'm hauling, they have a '03 Blazer LS, the 4-door Blazer, on a trailer back to Idaho for my brother to use so he'll have something to drive around out there. Let's see. Boondocks are hell. Yes, they are. George, aka Dad, says, in 2020, I brought in a roll-off and emptied basement, attic, and 2-story garage that I've lived in since '74. I'm saving my kids from that same disaster. Judy Kimbrough says, I had to clean out 2 houses for mom, and dad. It's hard. It is hard, but it's, I've been prepared for this since last year when I was here. The only thing that's kind of saving me is last year when I was here, I did a whole bunch of painting. I did a whole bunch of painting last year while I was here. So the only thing I had left to paint was the living room, which is why I'm kind of shoved over tonight a little bit. And I'm finishing up his bedroom. I didn't paint that last year when I was here because it was too full of crap. That's all been sorted, cleaned, some of it in boxes, some of it on the shelf to sell off. Camp Gore 1, I'm hell on wheels to help if you need it. Thanks, Linda. I dearly appreciate everybody's support and offers of help. It's a long way out here from Arizona. I know I drove it, many times back and forth. And I think I got it. But your offer of support is very kind, and thank you so much. All right, we kind of got off topic, so we'll go back to any RV-related questions. Go ahead and throw them over in the chat window. Again, if you're shy or you want to, if you rather lurk in the chat and you want to send a question, feel free to trbolin, BOWLIN, @gmail.com. And just a side note to Tim, I've been trying to get Tim set up as a moderator. I might have been adding an extra E, Tim, when I was searching for you. But we'll try that again tonight after the stream. I'll see if I can get you set up as a moderator on the stream. I haven't had it too much trouble. There's been I've got the filtering set up pretty strict on YouTube, so you can't post anything with a link in it, with a a URL or a web link, that kind of stuff. So that stops a lot of the spammers from getting in, but every once in a while they'll slip through the cracks. And it's always nice to have an extra set of eyes out there. Camp Girl 1 asks, I want to seal my roof on my C. Should I stick with Henry's? Absolutely. What is the roof rubber now, Linda? Just to double check. Is it a rubber roof, or is it a fiberglass? Because, by the way, Henry's works fine on the fiberglass too. Okay, I swear by the Henry stuff, and in fact, I'm going to do the roof on the truck camper with Henry's. In fact, I had just picked it up, anticipating that I would be putting the roof back on within a couple weeks, and now it's sitting in the garage. Tim, no harm, no foul. Remember, he left the W out of in my email. Yeah. Email doesn't go very good if you don't spell the name right, does it? That's funny. And we're showing an excellent connection tonight, so I'm happy with that. Maybe it was just last week. It might have been just the agglomeration, the accumulation of all of the, stress and strain and stuff. She says, it looks fine, though it's been through the heat. Yeah, that heat and sun in Arizona is pretty tough. Pretty tough on stuff like that, especially roofs, because you don't really have anything to protect it up there. But the Henry's is great stuff. I highly swear by it. However, the Henry's is not an acceptable replacement for lap sealant around the equipment penetrations. So like you're going to have fans coming through the roof. There's going to be an edge to your roof, right? And I highly recommend that you go back and freshen up your lap sealant. Then do the Henrys, okay? Tom says he's helped fly disabled folks. It's expensive. One we did exceeded 100K. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at 10 grand if I do non-medical ground-based transportation. That's straight through. They drive straight through. They send 2 people. They're nice vans. There's the one company used the Mercedes. In fact, a couple companies that I contacted used the Mercedes. They send 2 people that are qualified medically. You could even ride with them if you want. I'm kind of thinking that I would probably leave a day or 2 before them because I need to get up there and get some stuff into the room that he's going to be occupying at the facility. I've already got a room reserved for him, set up for him to go to in Idaho. So I've kind of got that end of it all set up. It's just getting him from here to there. Eric Meyer says, today my fridge said low DC, checked DC voltage, 9.7 inverter, charger putting out 13.2, Xantrex remote says batteries at 13 volts and on float charge. Check your ground, Eric. Go through and check your grounds. Check the grounds on the fridge. Check and make sure that everything is tight on the fridge. And that's a common problem. So yeah, check all your grounds. Be really careful that your grounds are all tight, they're clean, and go back to your fuse block where your fridge, somewhere there's going to be, all of the grounds are going to come back. Usually they're white in the RVs. So you'll probably find a block of a whole bunch of white wires next to your 12 volt fuse block. Just get a screwdriver and tighten every one of those down. Make sure everything's super tight. The other thing is let's see. I don't remember if we've talked. Yeah, Eric, new inverter and all new bats. I remember you just got those. I think you mentioned that last week. So I'm not worried about your batteries. I'm just more worried about the ground. Also, check the ground on your batteries. Make sure that something hasn't come loose. Did you install your own system, or did somebody else do it for you, Eric? Either way, go back, get a wrench, and check all of the connection points to your batteries. Make sure all the terminals are all nice and tight. They should be clean, right, since you just did new batteries. But yeah, go back and check all your connection points. If that's a Norcold, they have this tendency sometimes to throw that low DC for no reason whatsoever. Sorry, folks. Oh, it's been long days. Anyway, that's the first thing I would do, Eric, is check all my grounds. Just make sure everything's good and tight. Camp Girl 1 Linda says, I'm afraid to look at my little Toyota after all summer. Yeah, you were gone quite a while. Are you back home? I'm assuming you're back in Arizona. Tom says it was 75 degrees today at Whidbey Island. I just had a friend of mine up there hanging out for a couple days with her uncle. Eric says he put charger on the house batteries to get power to thermostats and refrigerator. That lasted for about 2 hours. Okay, so I'm confused, Eric. Tim says he performs or hires out a roof inspection every 6 months. That's smart. Okay, RV shop put them in. And you had to charge them today? Have you been on, I say you're in Bardstown, Kentucky. So are you on hookups down there? Question mark. Gary D, taking day trip Thursday to Saddle Mountain, BLM, checking out if any snowbirds show up yet. Yeah, it might be a tad early. It was my experience living on I-15 that a lot of the Canadians don't start to head south till the end of October, and usually a lot of times until after Thanksgiving. But last year was an odd year because they didn't open the border till, what was it, after the first of the year. But I remember I was up on the interstate going north on I-15 towards Idaho Falls, and it was a full stream. It was a full stream headed south of Canadian license plates with RVs, fifth wheels, self-propelled, all that. Tom Downey says Liberty Coach is out 2 years for delivery. I'm not surprised. Yeah, Linda says she's back in Arizona. Linda asks, Camp Girl 1 asks, I would like to have some solar panels put on my RV. Think it's okay to put the wiring down the side rather than the roof? No, because what's going to happen, well, if it's enclosed or they're tied down tightly, then it's probably okay. But as you're going down the road, the wind is going to work those wires, and eventually they're going to break, chaff, and so it's really not that difficult to find a way to get through the roof and to wherever your solar charge controller is. A lot of times you can go through a closet. You can get a little small plastic part called a gland, a solar roof gland. You'll find one on my Amazon store, time for a cheap plug. You can find one on my Amazon store. There is a solar accessories and setup specific to solar panels, Victron equipment. I got to keep my hand out of my face because my camera's down low. And they're about $8, $9, $10. And they're made to be able to seal up nice, keep the water out. And yeah. So it's not difficult to go through the roof. A lot of folks go through the closet. Stuff like that, and it's actually fairly easy to get through the roof now. Down the ladder might be okay. I wouldn't go down the ladder proper, but down the back would be okay, yeah, because you're not going to be in the wind, right? So that wire's not going to be sitting there getting whipped and beat as you go down the road. With a cover, yeah, that's probably just fine, Linda. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Tom says Canada just opened the border yesterday, no vac required. Yeah, there you go. Gary D says he ran his wires down the side, wire hider from Lowe's. That works. You can't just leave that wire out there in the wind to get whipped and beat up. And Gary says he went along the awnings bracket. Tim Meyer says refrigerator woof vents. Woof woof. I'm teasing you, Tim. Refrigerator roof vents, say that fast 3 times, are a decent route. Yeah, in fact, I used my refrigerator roof vent to get the coax in from the antenna for my cellular booster. And yeah, it worked great. All right, other RV related questions. So I just want to cycle back. Michael, if you would like, I'd be more than happy to continue our discussion regarding your solar through email. And yeah, I'd be happy to try to help you, make some decisions on what you need. I suspect that your dealer that you're considering ordering from can also walk you through that. And since you're ordering, they may already have everything all pre-configured for what you want to do. You probably just need to say, here's kind of what I'd like to do. And I suspect that they're going to have some kind of a setup that they can put it on. And if it's factory installed, that's optimal, right? That's really optimal. Okay, Gary's in Sun City, yeah. Eric, okay. Tim Myers, has anyone had a cracked ABS shower base repaired with fiberglass? I have not personally, but I had a friend of mine repair his own, and basically it's just like repairing fiberglass. He ground out the crack, got some fiberglass patch repair, put the patch on, gel coated it back up, and it's never leaked since. So I don't think it's a terribly tough job. But yeah, I have a friend of mine that had to do that in his fifth wheel because of racking, and it racked and it cracked. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so anything else? We'll go for one last little round. Any other questions or comments? Please make them below over in the chat window. As always, you're welcome to submit your comments via email, trbowlin, BOWLIN, @gmail.com. And I'm happy to respond to comments over there. But I think probably if we don't have anything else, we might call this one good. We made it through without the disaster mess that we had last week. And I haven't had one warning from YouTube on the stream that our quality had gotten bad. So maybe I found the magic formula. It's keep the left foot off the floor, put your hand on top of your head, rub it in a counterclockwise fashion. All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for listening to me whine a little bit about how hard it's been to get stuff done here. And I hope you enjoyed this night's live stream. I always love doing these. And I am too, Linda. It will not be finished probably until spring at this point. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Pause and play. Okay. Hi, pause and play. That's an old joke I used to tell. I'm an old IT guy, right? I was IT director for an engineering company for a long time. And I used to tell people that all the time. They'd call me and say, well, it's doing this. And I would say, well, okay, take your left foot off the floor. Put your hand on your head. Spin it in a clockwise fashion, and it'll work. Or it will fail at the most inopportune time, trust me. All right, we're going to call this one good. Thanks, everybody, so much. I'm so glad this worked out well tonight. I'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. But until then, don't forget to give me that thumbs up if you haven't already. But thanks. We'll catch you next week. Peace. Bye-bye.